Do not hide in the dark shadows any longer. Have the courage to help end this horror and show that justice can prevail. Thank you.
Nearly 2 years and his murder is still unsolved. Tonight, the widow of an officer gunned down on a Kentucky highway is asking for those with information to come forward.
Search crews spend the day near the Kentucky River looking for evidence in a murder investigation.
It's being called one of the largest bourbon heists ever, and today some suspects in that case were in court.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening. 2 years and still no answers. Tonight, a Central Kentucky woman hopes a video plea will lead to new information in her husband's murder.
Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis died on the Bluegrass Parkway in 2013. Police say he got out of his cruiser to pick up debris when someone shot and killed him. Today, Kentucky State Police posted a video of Ellis's widow asking for information that could lead to an arrest. WKYT's Garrett Weimer is in Bardstown with our top story at 6.
Monday, Memorial Day of all days, marks 2 years since Officer Jason Ellis was shot and killed here off exit 34 while cleaning debris off the Bluegrass Parkway. As that anniversary nears, still without answers, Ellis's widow is making a personal plea for help. In a video just released from Kentucky State Police, Amy Ellis says she and her kids can't truly heal until they know who killed her husband and why. Ellis says even though her husband is now in a better place, things remain difficult for them here. Ellis says only time can't heal their wound and asks anyone who knows something about what happened to contact police.
Do not hide in the dark shadows any longer. Have the courage to help end this horror and show that justice can prevail. Thank you.
Kentucky State Police say the reward fund is up to $185,000 for tips that lead to an arrest and conviction. In Nelson County, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
State police hope to spread the video across the country through social media.
Search crews in Fayette and Madison counties just wrapped up an investigation. State police, detectives, and dive teams were out on part of the Kentucky River this afternoon, hoping to find some new evidence in a murder case. They were searching under the US 25 bridge where Fayette and Madison counties meet. State police say they received a tip that someone had evidence there and hid evidence there in connection to the death of Roy Combs. He was killed earlier this month in Clark County. Our Kristen Kennedy is tracking the search.
Friday was the perfect day for kayakers and fishermen wanting to get out on the water.
We're after fish.
The weather also made the day perfect for divers to try and search for evidence in a murder investigation.
It's a little unnerving, but they told us to stay to one side. We're going past, and then we're going up into a creek.
Lee Lucas and his friends passed a couple divers from the Lexington Fire Department helping Kentucky State Police. Their search for evidence wrapped up late Friday afternoon. State police told us they were searching for evidence in the Roy Combs murder investigation.
We don't know if the information we received is accurate. We don't know if it's correct, but we're hopeful it is because it will obviously provide great value to the investigation, as any piece of evidence does.
State police say they weren't sure they would find what they were looking for. They say there's a lot of debris underwater, and that could pose a problem for divers.
We got about 12 firefighters here. Not all of them are divers. We have people that assist with the operations and stuff, but we got 2 boats and several pieces of apparatus here.
Lexington divers didn't find what they were looking for. State police say they'll now regroup and decide if it's worth searching again. In Madison County, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
State police did tell us they found something in the water unrelated to their case. They'll now go back and review other cases to see if what they found is evidence in any of those cases. 4 people, though, have been charged in this case. 5 people arrested in connection to a major bourbon theft ring out of Franklin County faced a judge today.
Gilbert and Julie Kurtzinger, Joshua and Christopher Preston, along with Robert McKinney, were all arraigned in circuit court on a charge of engaging in organized crime. Investigators say they took more than $100,000 worth of bourbon from Buffalo Trace and Wild Turkey distilleries. WKYT's Phil Pendleton is in Frankfurt with new information in the investigation.
Anything you'd like to say? Gilbert Toby Kurtzinger and others charged in the criminal syndicate had nothing to say as they left the courtroom Friday morning. Part of the story that has made international headlines because of the large amount of bourbon police say they stole.
Well, obviously, as I stated in there today, this is a different case. You folks in the court are the reason why this is a different case. Discovery was filed.
She told the judge she has grave concerns with discovery or facts about the case being made public knowledge because it's public record.
Trying to preserve my client's right to a fair trial here in Franklin County.
Well, she, of course, is a very zealous advocate for her clients, and she's doing her job. And I have no doubt that the judges will appropriately handle any motions that will be pending before the court.
Kurtzinger and his wife Julie, Christopher Preston, Joshua Preston, and Robert M. McKinney all pleaded not guilty to the multi-count indictment, including charges of theft, receiving stolen property, and trafficking charges. Robert McKinney and Julie Kurtzinger's attorney argued that both will be exonerated.
He received a bottle of bourbon that secondhand he supposedly was going to offer for sale. That's not a crime. From what I can tell, she's being charged because she lived in the same house as Gilbert Kurtzinger.
Already two suspects, Ronnie Hubbard and Sean Ballard, have pleaded guilty to lesser charges and agreed to testify against the others. Prosecutors won't say if other deals are on the table.
The criminal trial process is the same in this case as it is in any other case, so we'll be treating this case just like any other case.
In Franklin County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
All of the suspects in this case are out of jail on bond.
A serial thief, police say, stole millions from trusting victims, now knows how long he'll spend in prison. A judge sentenced Kenneth Thomas to 20 years. Thomas was the former owner of Retire America Incorporated. Police say he defrauded investors of more than $3 million. Investigators say he accepted money from clients for investments, but the investments never existed. We have an update for you tonight about a man deputies have called the Sock Bandit. Last night, we told you about a man detectives say robbed the five-star gas station on Versailles Road. Investigators say he wore a sock over his hand to conceal his fingerprints. He then went to the register, paid for a Mountain Dew, but grabbed money out of the open cash register. The sheriff's office says that they have received a lot of tips about this suspect. They also said they are working with the Scott County Sheriff's Office, but cannot say why at this time.
Memorial Day weekend is already off to a great start. Lots of sunshine and temperatures in the 70s right now.
Yeah, let's hope it stays that way. Maybe some rain mixed in there. Let's check in with our meteorologist today, Jim Caldwell, tracking your weekend forecast, Jim.
And most of the weekend, guys, looks really good. Saturday, Sunday, we're in the low to mid 80s. Humidity stays in check, and we're in pretty good shape. It's just Memorial Day itself will feature some showers and storms. Out there this evening, though, it is very nice. We're in the low, and even a few mid-70s have been showing up across parts of Kentucky. But you go out to our east, still actually have some upper 60s hanging around. And that might be the case tomorrow. It might be just a few degrees cooler to our east, while we are right around the 80-degree mark for daytime highs for you tomorrow. Defender has been active just to our north today. We've been tracking a few showers across parts of Ohio. And that's really as close as they got to us, period, today. It's just generally been a sunny day, mixed in with, of course, some cloud cover. And you can see on a broader scale what's been happening all around us. The clouds thickening up over the past couple of hours, especially here in central Kentucky. Still seeing some sunshine to our south, from Somerset to London to Williamsburg, all looking fine out there. And even through the evening hours, I think right around 7 we'll be at 71, generally sunny with some clouds drifting in and out of the skies. We look at 9 o'clock, we're down to around 66 degrees. And then by 11, 63, generally on the clear side for some of us. But overnight, we're going to see the chill try to make one last run at us. We'll take a closer look at that coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Jim. This weekend marks the unofficial beginning of summer, which means it's time to take the boats out on the lake. And with the expected forecast he's talking about, it's perfect time to get out.
But the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife wants to remind people about staying safe on the water. WKYT's Mike Linden is in Franklin County with a story that's new at 6.
Memorial Day weekend marks the start of boating season in Kentucky. Fish and Wildlife officials say there are more than 185,000 registered boats in the state. But Memorial Day weekend is a lot different from the middle of summer.
The water's still cold. People are not familiar with their boats as they were last year. The boats have been sitting in storage all year.
Morosini says staying safe on the water is mostly common sense, but according to data from the U.S. Coast Guard, Both deaths and accidents on the water are on the rise in the Bluegrass State. Fish and wildlife officials say knowing the conditions of and on the water can make this weekend much safer.
While temperatures are warming up outside, the water is very slow to do so. In fact, fish and wildlife experts say that the cold water can pose a big danger to boaters out on the water this weekend. So we have a thermometer. Let's check the temperature of the water. Came in right over 60 degrees here in the sun. And in fact, in a month from now, it could be near 10 degrees warmer.
Coast Guard officials say 78% of fatal boating accident victims drowned. 84% were not wearing a life jacket.
If you fall in a parking lot, you may lay there until somebody can help you up. If you fall into the water, you may just sink and not be found until it's too late.
Morosini says to always assign life jackets before hitting the water and to never drink alcohol and operate a boat. In Franklin County, Mike Linden, WKYT.
The Coast Guard reports 21% of fatal boating accidents last year involved alcohol. For more information about accidents on Kentucky's waterways, just go to WKYT.com. There we have an interactive look at the total number of accidents in the past 4 years.
It appears that Jeff Ruby is not giving up on his plans to open a steakhouse here in Lexington. Ruby was one of the tenants slated for the Centerpoint project. He told us today he has found a backup location if Centerpoint doesn't work out, but does plan to open his restaurant at Centerpoint. He did not tell us where that second location would be. It's the first baseball field of its kind in the country. Coming up, we'll head to Frankfort for its grand opening.